Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Tonight for the final race of season number 1. It's the season finale for the Overtake iRacing League Truck Series, and we've eliminated it down to the final 4 here tonight. Live from the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Overtake iRacing League Truck Series. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper. Alongside me tonight, Yusuf Ghali, the Cup Final 4 contender. He'll be my co-commentator here tonight. And Yusuf, we've talked a little bit pre-race about all the different names, but let's bring the points up on the screen. Talk a little bit about this Final 4 and what you project will happen here this evening.
I actually haven't raced with any of these guys in the Final 4 yet, but I've been watching throughout some of the races this season, and every single one of these guys is in contention for it. I don't think there's a single weak link here, so I really don't think it's something you can predict. I think you just have to watch the race and see who wins it all.
Barrett Morton, of course, has 4 wins on the season. Peyton Hubbard with 3. Kenneth McCullough Jr. and Chris McCullough, of course, family ties there. I believe Chris is Ken's nephew, as we were informed, and that's going to be a tight one because I believe it was Kenneth that had to be in a must-win situation to make this Final 4, and he got it done there last week at Texas. It was a phenomenal race, but, you know, overall in the points here, Barrett Morton, as of late, has turned off the win button and hasn't been able to finish really in the top 5 for a lot of these races in the postseason. So, you know, we're looking at Peyton Hubbard. He's been the most consistent, but Chris and Ken have really turned up the heat here in these last 2 weeks, and you gave these guys a chance. They're going to take it as far as they can, and of course they make the final cut as we go into the week. So here today at Charlotte Motor Speedway, it's a very cookie cutter racetrack. I mean, this is the one that started it all, a 1.5 mile quad oval, and you know, you see these a lot through the schedule, but this is the one back in 1960 that really started it all, and it's a little bit tighter groove here. If you really want to put it down as a racetrack that's all its own, this is the one that, you know, the banking, the speed, the way that these tracks were constructed for Atlanta and Texas, it really is the original for 24-degree banking, 8 or 5 degrees on the backstretch. And here in Concord, North Carolina, it's kind of the epicenter of NASCAR.
Yeah, I mean, I won here earlier in the season in the Cup Series, so it's a place that I've always liked driving, but it really is really, really thin on the margins. If you miss that bottom by a foot or two, your right front's just going to fall off the car. You really, really have to hit your line every single lap around this place. It's not forgiving if you get out of that groove.
Race analysis coming up on your screen. 125 laps here today. It's one of the longest races that we've had here in the Truck Series all season long. 45 mile per hour pit road speed limit. But here's the other part of this. 4 tire sets available here today. We ran with 3 all season long, so an additional tire set, which will kind of change the way these guys try to come down maybe during that stage 1, these guys will push it a little harder. I'm not sure with that extra tire set, but on 3 green-white checkered attempts here today, and the stage will be at lap 40. So about a third of the way through this race, they'll be hitting that stage. Of course, iRacing fixed setup for all 3 series across this league. But with all of that, let's take you trackside now. Get the grid up on your screen, starting on the pole here today. It's going to be Christopher McCullough with a 29.617. That's just ahead of Peyton Hubbard in the 51, who will be your points leader coming into today. Lucas Lyons, who just missed the final 4 there. He'll be 5th position in points here today, but he will start in the 3rd spot. Adam Lancaster will start in 4th position. Row number 3 belongs to Michael Robinson, winner at Iowa Speedway. John Kinder will start in 6th. 7th spot goes to Kenneth McCullough Jr., the must-win there last week. Barrett Morton, who's also in the top 4, will start in 8th. And rounding out your top 10 is Bobby Hall Jr. and Daniel Cunningham in the 08.
And then in 11th, we have Sean Kaiser with a 7.93. Next to him is going to be Alex Healy in 12th place. After that, we have Joe Spinelli. What a name. At 126, he's at a 29.819. Next to Daniel Worthington in the 113 with a 29.828. Next to them, or in 15th, we have Wes Weigand. That guy's made a few cup starts. He's really good. So seeing him back in 15th is unusual. He'll be up at the front. I can believe that. Next to him, we have Ronnie Shirk Jr. in 16th. And behind them in 17th, we have the 07 of Brian Kaiser next to the 93 of Tom Hall in 18th. And rounding out the final row of the top 20, that'd be Adrian Loya in the 22 and the 20th of Michael Cole in the 67. Also someone who I've raced with in the Cup Series a few times.
Chad Ross will start in 21st position. James Kaufman in 22nd. Dustin Reinstedel out there and electing not to grid here tonight. Jeremiah Hobbs in the number 10 will start in 24th. I think he's had a technical issue and will not make the grid here tonight. But Christopher McCullough starting on the pole. He has Peyton Hubbard. 2 of the top 4 are going to start in the top row. Then you have, 2 of them inside, all 4 of them inside the top 10 to start this race. So this should be really interesting here, Yusuf, with the stages and you're trying to keep track of it all on live. We will have updates for you from our points analysis, and our track admin, Cody Anderson, will be trying to keep us up to date on everything that goes on. But as of right now, all 4 of these drivers, 3,500 points. They come in here even, and it's going to be who finishes with the most points here today. Laps led, stage victory, winning the race, most laps led, fastest lap, biggest mover. There's about 101 reasons here to stick it out for the 125 laps today. Extra pace lap here from the pace truck, and as we try to get Jeremiah Hobbs back out there on the racetrack, as we do, that means we will have a full 24 truck field here today. Good to see the truck count back up. Of course, we had a little bit of a car count issue with the short tracks there in the Xfinity Series, and not a lot of guys wanted to race at Martinsville, and I can't say that I blame them, Yusuf, but, it's tough because you know how great the season was. You had 30 trucks to start it out. When you can maintain over 20 the whole time, it makes the competition a little more fun.
Yeah, I mean, all season, I think all 3 series have had that issue. But, I mean, it's so much fun to race with these guys, so I can't imagine why people don't want to show up. The races have been amazing in all 3 series. This is some of the cleanest guys I've raced with, so it's good to have another almost 30 cars here tonight. Should make it. It makes these guys work for it, Instead of being able to just ride around and get a top 10, you actually have to know what you're doing and fight for it to be able to finish top 5, top 10 every week with this many trucks.
Well, it'll also make it more interesting for the points. Some of these guys could fall out of the top 10 and not get stage points, so that makes it oh so more important to be on your game from lap 1 to lap 125. Pace truck's going to get out of the way this time around, and for the first time here in Concord, North Carolina, we're going to set off the season finale. 04, Christopher McCullough onto the loud pedal in the restart zone. Green flag is out, and the final race is underway. Turn 4 for the first time, holding on to the lead with a very hungry Peyton Hubbard right behind him. McCullough from the pole, he will lead. But I tell you what, these guys, you can see them backing up these corners a little bit differently. The 48, Lucas Lyons back there, he really backed up the entry to turn 1. Almost got ran into by Adam Lancaster.
Yeah, the 51 actually got a really good start there. We've got restart zones enabled in this series, so it's just whoever goes on green. And he was able to react to it better than the 04, but like I said earlier, the bottom's just really powerful here. So the 04 was able to just squeak him out through 1 and 2 there, and he's able to hold the lead here, which is going to be big with these trucks now. Clean air is going to be king.
Yeah, you can see that dirty air, how the 51's not quite able to hang the bottom, and some guys do that on purpose a little bit to hang that right front out there, get some air on the nose and keep it down. I know here at Charlotte, you can work the high side as this race progresses. You can start working the middle a little bit here through 3 and 4. But you got to be careful with that turn 4 exit wall.
Yeah, bottom's always going to be the tire-saving groove, and as we see, the 51's actually making a move up to the top here. I mean, I think he knows that clean air is going to be big here. You might burn your tires up there for a couple laps trying to pass here, but if you can get clean air, you're going to have a way better time saving up front, no matter what line you're on.
Side by side for the lead. Peyton Hubbard has the nose coming out of turn 4. He will clear the 04 of Chris McCullough, and for the first time, we have a lead change on lap 5.
I think that's big.
That is. I mean, the clean air, like you said, and not only that, but he can get up here and get a bonus point. That's going to help his cause because the 04 started on the pole and has a lap lead, so he has to maintain this points lead. 51's going to have his work cut out for him, though, because some of these drivers working their way up. Baron Morton has already gained 2 positions. You're seeing him move up through this field just outside the top 5. John Kinder in front of him. The 9 machine also in this top 4. And then you've got a few guys that didn't make that final 4 cut, kind of generously letting them by.
Yeah, it's nice to see, on one hand, these guys giving these final 4 guys room, but on the other hand, I feel like it's a racetrack. You should be racing them, so we'll see how this goes later in the race. I don't think they'll be moving over for them as the race moves on, though.
Generosity, a little give. Not a lot to take here to start this race out. 6 laps complete now as Peyton Hubbard comes by to lead his 3rd one today. Working back through the field, you can see Kenneth McCullough hanging on to the top 10. He's lost 3 spots already. Last week in Texas, it was kind of a shootout there at the end of that thing, and he was able to hold him off with 2 tires. He had Chris McCullough right next to him, so that was kind of those guys working together to make sure that he could get up there. And he actually showed a lot of speed towards the end of that race because he was on a different strategy that put him up towards the front. He just made the better call against everyone else and found his way into the top 5 and later on into the lead.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big thing here tonight, too. I mean, these guys do have 4 tire sets, which, as you said, is 1 more than they normally do, but Charlotte does eat up the tires, and there's so much space to pass here that I feel like keeping that set for like maybe a 10-15 lap run to the end and having to restart just outside the top 10, but having 10 lap pressure tires on everybody, that might be the winning move. Who knows? That might win someone a championship.
On board with Bobby Hall, we were seeing an offset 3 wide through 3 and 4. This racetrack not quite wide enough for the exits to be able to get through there. These guys think better of that and back it up. But they were all the way up next to the wall. And Yusuf, you said it. The bottom's the tire saving groove, but these guys up towards that wall, they're not saving much. They're pushing. There's the 94 making a move on Daniel Cunningham into turn 3.
That's a bold move down the backstretch there. Trying to pass on the bottom. It's my preferred line to pass because you can just sit there and save, and especially in the Cup car, you can side draft down the straightaways to, keep that guy with you. But I don't know what the side draft's like in these trucks nowadays. I think it's still weaker than the Cup car, but they have side draft now, according to people I know. So that move might work on the bottom a lot better than it does in, say, the Xfinity car.
He will not get by the 113. He'll fall back. Now Ken McCullough is going to look to the inside. Try to pass out of turn 4. All the action from about 8th place on back. The front row has changed hands again. Lucas Lyons works up to 2nd position. He's going to try to go up here and challenge the 51 for the lead.
That 48 is pushing. I mean, again, like we said, clean air might be the thing that makes or breaks this race, so I don't blame him for pushing there. It's just this late into a run, 10 laps in, I feel like this is going to be the point where things start to change and even out. Like, people who are pushing are going to start to fall, and people who are saving are going to start to come to the front, because 10, 15 laps in on tires is about when that starts to switch. So we'll see who's really faster, I believe, for the rest of the stage.
So at this point right now, 3 lead changes up on your screen with the race recap. 2 lead changes, officially 3, you'd have to argue, but 3 different drivers leading some laps. And this will be Lucas Lyons getting his first one across the line. I tell you, Yusuf, there's a lot going on up here in the top 10 points-wise. We're trying to get some updates here on where everything would factor out if these guys finish the stage as it sits right now. I believe Peyton Hubbard would maintain the points lead. But you got to look back here with Barrett Morton. He needs to get up into the top 5. He needs to mitigate as much as he can with these 2 up front, up in the top 3. He's going to lose a little bit to them, and it almost puts him in a must-win situation later on down the road.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys, I think they might just be taking it easy. A point or 2 here might not matter if you just don't wreck, because, you know, I don't think this league gives a fast slap for the truck series, but as long as you just keep your truck clean and you're there at the end, I think just putting yourself in position to win and ignoring stage points might be the right call. But I can't say how all these guys are playing it. Everybody does it their own way.
John Kinder has maintained this top 5. He gained 1 spot in the very starting lap, and he has stayed in 5th spot, keeping Barrett Morton at bay. Top 10 hasn't changed hands too much. Then you have some drivers like Alex Healy. You got to win at Pocono. He is about 2 seconds back from the top 10 pack, holding out with Ronnie Shirk, Wes Wiegand, Michael Robinson, winner at Iowa. Some of these guys getting their first win of the season. And I go back, Wes Wiegand started out hot in that race. He had led a lot of laps, but ultimately it came down to the end. And Michael Robinson was the one that came out on top. So just a lot of firsts for a lot of different drivers in that race. So you can see back here, it is turbulent. Michael Robinson trying to find a way around Alex Healy. Then you have the 88 of Wiegand. It's a lot of Flex Motorsports drivers back here fighting for the top 10.
Yeah, it is rough back here outside the top 10, it looks like. I think it's, like I said, a lot of these guys are saving earlier in the runs. They're finally trying to pass those guys that were pushing hard. But looks like we got another battle for the lead here, so we'll talk about that.
51 gets around the 48 of Lucas Lyons on the 04. Chris McCall is going to go by on the inside as well. I think you called it right there, Yusuf, just a second ago. You said you're going to find out. We're in that transition, who's fast and who's pushing. Now the 48 starting to struggle on handling, and looks like Chris McCullough also struggling a little bit. So side by side for second, hasn't cleared just yet. And that's bringing John Kinder up to 4th. He's going to peak to the top 3.
Yeah, the 51 and the 04, I think they both had the chance to run in clean air earlier in the run, which is when it's most crucial in my opinion. The very early of the run and the very end of the run is when you really want clean air. And then you had that the 82 of Kinder. He was just sitting there minding his business as these top 3 are racing, so he was able to save his stuff. So I think he's going to be a threat here to pass these guys as that 48 just keeps falling. 48
was generous there on the exit of turn 2, didn't come in front of Kinder, and Kinder will get to the outside in the entry of 3. Can he throttle off and get clear of the 48? Looks like he will. Coming out of turn 4, change for 3rd spot. Now the 94 of Bobby Hall into the top 5. He's trying to get around the 48. Lucas Lyons falling pretty quickly here after taking the lead over on about lap 7. Or actually lap 11, and he has fallen out very quickly.
Yeah, I just think he pushed his stuff trying to get up to the lead. I don't blame him. That clean air would have worked well if he'd been able to hold it, but just pushed it a little too hard, and as soon as he fell to second, I don't think there's any holding on there. That clean air is just way too bad, especially if you got older tires. There's no way to hold on in dirty air.
And
oh, he's pitting!
Bringing it down pit road. It looks like the 17 just behind him of Adam Lancaster coming down as well. So this is what I was kind of wondering, if these guys would half-step the stage break and then try to run these guys down. Interesting, to say the least, but, you know, if you're off strategy just a little bit there in the remaining of this race, you could actually, I think, with 20 to go, have fresher tires than the guys that pitted during the stage break and could end up passing them. So we'll have to wait and see.
A lot of guys are pitting here, actually. I don't think they can make it on fuel because the 82 just came in. A couple other guys behind him are coming in. I like the call, actually. If everybody's going to have to come in, being the first guy on pit road, like that 48 was, he was just bleeding time there. So coming in, getting some fresh tires on it before everybody else and being able to maybe build a little bit of a lead. Oh! And maybe not doing that.
Penalty, yeah, that's might take him. He actually didn't get tires. Looks like he just topped off with fuel. He had 7.8 in the box, so maybe right signs, but it looks like not a 4-tire stop here for Lucas Lyons. He'll fall a lap down back to 22nd. Peyton Hubbard still out there on the racetrack. How far would these leaders, this top 5, push it?
No, that's an interesting call too. Or if it was 0 tires, I don't know if I like that call. But if it was 2 tires, I mean, you save about 4 or 5 seconds in the pits, and you're still going to be faster than all these guys. Plus, you'll have clean air because there's no way that these guys hold the lead unless they get maybe the best pit stop ever. But the 48 should cycle out to the lead if he took 2 tires there. And having clean air, I think he can hold on for the rest of the stage if this works out well. Let's see what these guys do.
Hubbard brings it down pit road. He's having a slight little connection issue there as he hit the pits, but the 9 of Morton just behind him. So you're looking at 2 of the top 4 in the points coming into tonight. Down pit road on lap 23. Christopher McCullough will resume the lead. Will he bring it down next time by? We'll have to wait and see. Bobby Hall just behind him. And so a couple of those guys that did take 4 tires, John Kinder, he came down for 4. Adam Lancaster also took 4. And then you have a lot of fuel only or maybe 2 tire stops. You guys, you know, Alex Healy, it looks like fuel only. Daniel Worthington, fuel only. Wes Wiegand, so a lot of these guys down and away. Barrett Morton, definitely a fuel-only stop, 6.4 in the box. So this will take them to the stage, but now the situation and the question to ask is, when does this top 5 pit, and are they saving? Can they make it? Is it possible?
Oh, yellow.
Yellow flag might help.
That's going to hurt some guys big time. I don't know how the 51's going to cycle out specifically, but if he ends up a lap down and can't take the lucky dog or away, if he's in a bad spot, that could ruin his night if he doesn't get the lucky dog on the stage.
All right, we have a lot to unpack here. I have several instances in my session events that say may have crashed, so we're going to back this up here and see. 22 slides it on the apron. I wouldn't think that iRacing would throw a yellow for that, other than the fact that it's near the pit road entrance.
I have never seen a yellow for something like that.
Unless it was an admin thrown caution. Let's go back and watch this. This was Barrett Morton coming back onto the racetrack. And so iRacing sometimes, because a car is a little off pace, will label them as a crash, and, you know, he's just coming back out on the racetrack. Back it up a little bit more. I think this is the only thing I can find here that says possible caution, and this was Adrian Loya. He's coming down pit road a little early on the entrance, but just locks up the front tires and slides into the inside wall slightly. I guess that would be the form of the yellow. I got nothing else. Nobody in chat shouting anything out. Benjamin Richards has a 30-pack of Coors Light, so he's probably seeing yellows all over the place. Welcome into the chat, everybody. And again, we've got Yusuf Ghali, the top 4 in the Cup points. He'll be going into Nashville Super Speedway for that final race and be competing. And, you know, honestly, we were talking about that prior with the reset in points. It sometimes is a little demoralizing, especially with the dominant final 8 races that you had, getting all those wins, and now you're on an even playing field with 3 other guys.
Yeah, I mean, we know the point system when we sign up, so I can't complain about it, but, you know, at the back of my head, sometimes I'm wishing we just had a, Sprint Cup series, Sprint Cup style 10 race format, but Final Four format's still fine. I mean, it's a good track. I think the admins did a really good job choosing the Final Four tracks this season. I believe this is Charlotte for the trucks, and then we have Phoenix tomorrow, I believe, for Xfinity, and we have Nashville on Wednesday. And I think all three of those tracks, they're a good balance of short track, intermediate type of racing. You're not gonna have Martinsville like last week where everybody's running over each other, and you don't have Talladega where, you know, nothing's predictable and speed almost matters not at all, basically. I think Nashville's a really, really good finale, so I'm excited for that on Wednesday.
But here's the other question. We had 4 tire sets. Some of these guys that pitted under caution elected to take 4 tires because they knew they would stay in the top 10. We have Michael Robinson, Bobby Hall, Jeremiah Hobbs all on 4 tires. These drivers, of course, not in the top 4 for this final race, and so they could get up here and really throw a wrench in what Chris McCullough is trying to do after, coming down with just fuel only. And then you have Peyton Hubbard, who got pinned a lap down. He'll get a wave back onto the lead lap. Lucas Lyons, Adam Lancaster, all these cars here that you're seeing behind the pace truck right now will cycle around for a wave by to get back onto the lead lap, but they'll be starting back in 14th, 15th position. So, the lucky pass car of Barrett Morton just happened to be in front of the rest of this, so he got a free pass. He was able to come down pit road pretty cleanly, but this yellow really changes the atmosphere because we're talking about our entire top 5, with the exception of Chris McCullough, are now out of the top 10.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this is going to work out. On one hand, I do believe anybody who took tires there, even though they're going to be starting outside the top 10, they should be able to drive back up to the front because a lot of these guys are on 25 lap plus total tires, and the pace has dropped off a lot. So I think taking tires there is going to be the right call for the stage. But on the other hand, that leaves them with 3 sets while everybody else still has 4. So do you take tires in 10 laps at the stage and leave yourself with only 2 sets of tires for 75 laps? I think not taking tires into that stage is the right call for guys like the 04 and the 08. So we'll just see how it works out here for these next 10 laps of the stage.
The limited tire set's another factor into the way that we race these playoff format, and NASCAR recently added that within the last 5 years, that they were limiting the sets of tires that these drivers would have per race, and it's kind of changed the strategy of what teams do overall. And some teams will even start with scuff tires and things like that of that nature, just to save a set for the later stages of the race. And it really changes the way that you approach your first and final runs, because now some of these guys will stay out as long as they can on their first set, just so they don't have to burn one, and if there's a caution at the end, they can come storming through the fields. You gotta predict what this race is gonna be like with 25 to go.
Yeah, not being able to put scuffs on is a big hindrance, I feel, for a lot of these guys, like they can in real life. I think being able to put scuffs on would completely change the way these races work. But getting back to green here, so we'll see how this works out for these guys.
So for the second time today, in stage number 1, the green flag will come back out. We will have 12 laps to go as they cross the stripe for stage 1 at lap 40. And Chris McCullough is going to try to maintain. Hey, look at that. This is a reflection of what happened at Texas, the 03, the 04 up front in the final laps. You can see the new tires trying to already make moves back here. Bobby Hall, who took 4. He was actually one of those drivers that did it under green, but he's going to benefit the most here as he's one of the front runners of 4 tires. Michael Robinson, another one, making quick moves to the inside. They're already in the top 5.
A lot of these guys, like I said, 20 laps on tires, especially with how thin this field is tonight. We still have 20-something trucks, but it's not 30-something like that in real life. So having this big a tire difference is going to be big for these guys. I think they're going to be able to get to the stage lead here in about 2 or 3 laps. But again, they're down on a set of tires, so how's this going to work out for them?
3 wide through 3 and 4. Down the middle there, getting around Dustin Reinstedel. Bobby Hall gets in front of Michael Robinson now. He will be in 5th spot, chasing down Sean Kaser to the outside. With a pinch there on the entry, and he will clear for 4th. One after another out of turn 2. He's already picked off 3 cars in 1 lap. Here he goes after another one. Kenneth McCullough on the outside. He will dive for 2nd place. Now out of turn 4, has the momentum. He's He's not holding back at all. Out of turn 4, takes over the lead. Little loose moment, but he's got it clear.
It's not even fair. It looks like he's got 800 more horsepower in that truck. Everybody is everywhere.
Michael
here.
Robinson in the grass there. He saves it, but that was 4 fresh tires. He got loose out of 4, and he loses it down to the quad oval grass, and he will get back out on the track in 20th.
That really hurts that Ford truck, losing all that track position. He was up there in the top 5, I believe, before that happened. Look at this 94. I mean, this shows the difference in tires. He went from outside the top 10 to the lead immediately. That was 2 laps. So, like I said earlier, saving that set of tires, I was thinking a 10-lap run is when you'd want those tires. But this, he just proved that even a green-white checker, with this fresh tires, you can still win the race from 15th.
Bobby Hall ran a 30.2 the last time by. Christopher McCullough back in 3rd, ran a 31.178, so almost a full second fall off of these 20, 30 lap old tires. And, you know, fuel only, that'll help the 04 make it to the end of the stage. But here's the other thing that we got to take away. Even though the 04 is back here in 3rd, he's still getting better points than all of the counterparts that are coming in here today. Peyton Hubbard's still back in 16th with his fuel only stop. The 9 back in, I'm trying to find him, that's struggling here, Barrett Morton, he's at 15th, though these guys aren't going to get stage points. They need to get up here past 5 trucks, and we only have about 6 laps to do it.
Yeah, none of these guys are on tires, or at least not 4, so I don't see them being able to make that many spots up here, so I think the way it's running here, the 04 is probably in the best spot of anybody, especially for this last stage, with having that extra set of tires of everybody. I mean, the 94, he did just prove how good these tires are, but on one hand, he is the only guy, or he's one of the guys that don't have an extra set to use later in the race. So, we'll see how this works out. The 94 and the 10, both of them, they're hauling right now, but is it worth it?
Looking like superheroes here in the top 4. John Kinder, who naturally pitted for 4 tires during that green flag pit stop cycle. He's up to 3rd. Adam Lancaster, another one that pitted under the natural green conditions, and he will work into the top 5. So now, a little bit of a break here for Christopher McCullough on losing positions. It looks like Ronnie Shirk and Tom Hall would be the next trucks that have fresh tires, but it'll be a while before they can get there, and I don't think they're going to get there as we have 3 to go for the stage break.
This 10 car, he's catching him. I think we might have a battle for the stage win here.
Last time by, a 10th faster for Jeremiah Hobbs. Remember, he had a technical issue to start this race. Qualified back in 24th. He did not make qualifying. Had to get back into the session. They extended the yellow flag for the start to get him back in here. He gridded from 24th. And look at him now, up to 2nd, chasing down Bobby Hall. Last time by, another 10th faster. He's slowly chipping away his 4 tenths, but 2 laps, he's going to have to get 2 tenths to get to that rear bumper.
I don't think he'll have time to get here for the stage finish, but going from dead last up to 2nd place, battling for the lead, really. I mean, half a second is nothing in these trucks. I mean, that's impressive. Not many people can do that, so I really think that we're going to have to look at this 10 truck as a contender for the win here, especially getting back at this stage when everybody's on even ground here. And it's just trying to get that clean air. If you can get that clean air, I think this 10 truck has a shot at the win.
Oakfield, they need stage points to solidify their lead. It's going to come down to if Chris McCullough gets these stage points up here in 5th, and the rest of these guys in the top 4 don't get any, that alleviates Chris to have to win the race. He could actually finish just behind, you know, in 2nd or 3rd and still win. So it's kind of, yeah, it's still important. It's still very important here. There will do it for the stage. Top 10 showing up on your screen. Stage number 1 completed. Bobby Hall gets the victory for stage number 1. Chris McCullough, the only driver in the top 4 to get stage points this time. So there you go. That was my explanation, and I hope that I didn't mansplain it, as my wife likes to say that I do. the simplest form, I mean, they all add up. And a lap led for the 0-4. He could have the most laps led. I mean, it's just a combination of those bonus points and the same reason that they add up over the course of an entire season to put you in a position. They could be the deciding factor. If none of these guys end up winning the race, they could be fighting 1 or 2 spots away from each other.
Curious to see what these front runners do on the pit road here. I mean, on one hand, you might want to save one of your sets here, but on the other, you yourself just saw how good those tires are if you're the 94 or the 10. So I don't know. This is going to be an interesting call here. Some guys might save a set. Some guys might take every set they can here. We'll see.
Bobby Hall leads him down pit road. Of course, he had 15 laps on this stint. The 10 of Hobbs hits his pit stall. Looks like the jack is staying down on the 10 truck. 94 does have the right sides go up. So he makes a call to pit for 4 tires. Actually, 2 tire only stop here for the 94. He will be down and away. 10.6 in the box.
I don't know how I feel about that call. I don't know. Because,
I mean, now you technically still burned a set, right?
Yeah, because I don't think any of these guys are going to be taking left side tires later in the race. I think taking 2 is an interesting call in this truck, because with the truck and Xfinity car, 2 tires just makes it really, really loose. So this 94 is going to have his hands full, but again, same thing all night. Clean air, clean air, clean air, clean air. If you can get that clean air, even if he's on 2, I think he can still lead this race.
So Christopher McCullough picks up a couple spots on pit road. He'll be up to 3rd now, restarting on the inside of the 2nd row. But while we cycle this back out, try to go back green for the stage number 2. You're watching the Overtake iRacing League Truck Series live on V-Speed. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll continue coverage right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back live from Charlotte Motor Speedway, the final race and the final 4 after stage number 1 has concluded. We now have officially word. Jonathan Cofield in the chat kind of calling me out here, and a few other people researching and informing me that I was incorrect. So I would like to make a correction that stage points do not matter here for the top 4. It will be based off finishing order alone across all 3 series. So I'd like to apologize for that information, but here we go with Bobby Hall, your stage winner. And so it will matter outside of the top 4 here for those drivers. And Bobby Hall capitalizing. There is an outside of the playoffs competition for the highest finisher and that aspect. So Bobby Hall right now kind of claiming that as he restarts from the front row. Back live for stage number 2 at Charlotte.
Yeah, the leader chose the outside there, which I actually really like, because especially on restarts, the outside is a little less sketchy because you don't have someone on your right rear. So he didn't even really need it because he did clear every day. But I think later in the race, if you have someone restarting next to you who you know is good at getting those launches, taking the outside is going to be a really good choice. But you can see him wiggle a little bit. I told you guys, those 2 tires, he's sliding out of 4. They're hard to handle. They're hard to handle.
Gets a little loose off of the exit and slides up in front. Now has the 17 of Adam Lancaster all over the back end. And even with just 15 laps as he slides up out of the exit of 2, that makes such a big difference. Now we have a 4-way battle for the lead. The 0-4 of Chris McCullough to the inside. John Kinder is going to take over the point, and the 94 is going to have his hands full again off the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, as soon as he loses this lead here, which he just did, he got cleared. I can't see him being able to hold on very well on 2 tires in dirty air. It's gonna be interesting to see how fast he can be, because we know this 94 is a fast truck. It's just those 2 tires with 15, 20 laps in those laps. I don't see him being able to keep a handle on it and actually stay up here.
94 to the outside again. He's holding his own as of right now, but 1 step out on the right rear is all it's going to take for him to lose 2 or 3 spots. They're tight here on the back end. 0-4, the 17, the 03, all within striking distance to claim these spots. Then you go back here to the 5th spot. And that goes with Kenneth McCullough. Sean Kaser back here battling Peyton Hubbard, trying to work his way back to the point. Of course, led some laps earlier in this race. He started 2nd, and he's got a long way to go to get back up there to the top spot.
That 51 and the 48 are going to be really interesting to watch get up here. We know that 51, I'd say, has the best long-run truck just based on what we saw earlier, the lines he was running, how smooth he was being. I think he'll be the guy to beat long-run. That 48, though, he knows what he's doing short-run, though. So just see how fast these guys get up to the front. We know the 51, the 48, the 04, those might be the 3 fastest guys here, so we'll see how it goes.
On board with Lucas Lyons, the 48 machine in 9th spot. We talked a little bit about that there in Texas in that final 4. He was leading the points coming into that week. He had lost the points lead. He didn't make the stage, and he didn't finish in the top 10. So he kind of went into relaxation mode coming into that race and ended up outside of the top 4. It was about a 29-point gap across that board there to make that cutoff, and he fell out of it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how he races these guys. I don't believe there's been any hard feelings between Lions and any of the championship contenders, but you know, he wants to win. You gotta want to win every race you can. So we'll see how he races guys like the 51 and the 04. That if it goes the way the first stage went, he will be racing these guys for the win. So let's just see how he handles that with him being in the final 4 and maybe being a little upset that he wasn't able to make it in.
As for the top 10, Daniel Cunningham back up here to the 10th spot, gets around Dustin Reinstedel for that 10th position, and that's another driver that didn't make that final 4 cut. He came into the points a little off kilt there, and he does have playoff berths in the other series in the Xfinity, but of course, you know, you can go talk about a lot of these guys. When you take 16 drivers, as we still have this battle for the lead, the 94 actually holding his own pretty well here. It's pretty impressive what he's doing. But you're seeing some of these guys that feel like they should be in the top 8, the top 4 all through the season, and they just have one mistake in that playoff round of 3 races that set them back. Then they're in a must-win situation. And when you put yourself in that spot, it is so difficult. The nerves, the intensity, the anticipation, all of those factor in. It gets higher with every race that goes by. And then you come down to the last week. Of course, we had the 0-3 of Kenneth McCullough, who did get it done. When you can perform under that kind of pressure, it's almost like the ultimate confidence going into the last race.
Yeah, and that's a big thing with having these smaller fields is no matter how good you are throughout the regular season, the only thing you can do going into the playoffs with a small field is try to not wreck. If you can just finish top 5, top 10 with a clean car, it's hard to make up or lose ground on the guys around you. So with a mistake like that, like not finishing outside the top 10 and not getting stage points, it's almost impossible to make that up, no matter how good you are.
Jonathan Cofield in the chat said he was about to pull the rule book out on me.
Yeah, I don't blame him. It's hard to find these rules.
Yeah, Yusuf probably familiar with that rule book. He's probably run it cover to cover at this point. But you know, I try to stay as invested as I can in each league that I go to, and sometimes week to week you start to get a little confused. They all start to blend together. And here on V Speed, we cover on days that end with Y from March all the way to mid-June. Here we have been covering every single day of the week, and with some days 3 or 4 times a day. Yeah, that's trying to keep track of every league is a little bit unique in that aspect. So I apologize for the misinformation, and I'll try to do better. And of course, we've got that all sorted out for you on Tuesday and Wednesday as well. I'll try to make sure that that information is relayed to Alex Gagnon and Chris Hill. Those two will be doing the production there on the Xfinity series, and you know, tune in to V Speed all through the summer as well. We're still gonna have Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday races. Probably do some fun stuff here just before August. We're gonna try to tee off, and I haven't officially announced this yet, but we are going to try a V Speed After Dark segment of 4 races, and we haven't exactly worked out the details on that yet, but stay tuned, and it'll be open to all the leagues that participate here on V Speed and use our broadcasting. So something a little unique coming down the pipeline here for 2024. John Kender, your leader here on lap 58 now. The 17 of Adam Lancaster got around Christopher McCullough. Right now, as it sits in finishing order, the 04 is the champion, but we still have over half this race left to go.
Yeah, that the 94 is holding on those 2 tires. I mean, we might be getting pit stops relatively soon here, so he might have. I don't know about the right call because he was the leader, so I think taking 4 would have helped him out a little more. But 2 tires, not the worst call if we get pit stops here, because he can come in, take 4, and at worst maybe lose a second and a half overall on the guys in front of him. So we'll see how this works out for him. Other than that, 51, he looks like he's just sitting there saving his stuff on the bottom. He's running a smooth, consistent line. I haven't seen him miss the bottom at all. He's just doing his thing, and I mean, his only contender right now is the 04 and the 03, right?
Yeah,
Both
that's the only thing he needs to worry about is where those red spoilers are on the racetrack.
The 03, he looks like he's doing about the same thing, but I think this 04, he might be trying to go race for the lead. I don't know if I'd be wanting to do that, you know? All you got to do, you got to beat 3 other guys. There's 24 cars on the track, and only 3 of them matter for this championship, so right now, the 04 is the championship leader. If I was in his spot, I would just be sitting here, saving my stuff, making sure nobody else behind me could beat me, because these 2 trucks in front of you, they don't mean anything at the end of the day.
I can tell you this, when you tell a fast truck to go slow, it's kind of like telling a fish to breathe air. It's almost impossible. You can kind of feel the truck coming to you here in this mid-run, and you see the 17 starting to get reeled in. Do you keep hitting that loud pedal? Do you back up and save a little bit? You've got your nephew or your uncle, I guess, right behind you. It's one of those things that, yeah, we're just going to keep pushing. We're going to keep doing what we're doing in the hopes that we're not overdriving it. Keep the distance here. He's maintained about 4.5 seconds over Peyton Hubbard and 2 seconds, a second and a half roughly over the 03 their last time by. Kenneth McCullough a little bit cleaner air, but still not able to chase down. So battle for second. Here comes the 04.
He's not listening, man. He's making this pass. I don't know if I blame him, because if he can get past these 2 trucks and he gets clean air, especially through that pit cycle, he's the one that'll be firing it off. Because most of these guys, being the first guy to pit here in the truck, I don't know if I like that, because having that 1 lap fresher tire, if you overcut someone, that can make a difference, especially if you manage to get on and off pit road well and make up that deficit for the undercut. So being the leader is probably the best thing to be here if you're fast enough to pass these guys without burning your stuff up, which right now, the 04 is obviously faster than the 17, but it's just being stuck on that bottom. I don't know if he can make that pass without burning his stuff up, because it's just a rough spot to be in with that 04 behind him, or 03, sorry.
Well, the 04 does save a little bit of tire running the bottom line. It's those exits and entries where he has to cut the short there. You see him, he's already down to the bottom of the racetrack. If he can bury it in there deep, he's actually putting up more tires there. He does get clear. Maybe a crossover from the 17. Looks like he's going to fall in line. Now they're going to go after John Kinder for the lead.
I think that 17 had the momentum, but he's racing a championship contender. It's not worth trying to fight that, especially when it's not for the lead. I believe this 04 can reel this 82 in. It's going to be an interesting race here.
Peyton Hubbard's starting to reel him in as well. He's a little bit faster than a couple of the guys in front of him. Last time by, though, he's kind of stuck in some dirty air with Sean Kaser, and he does not make up ground on the top 5. 51.
Yeah, he just had to get around that 7 truck for P6, so he's making passes and holding relatively good ground, so I think if he just keeps saving and he gets through this pit cycle good, this 51 is going to be the guy to contend for the championship.
So the 2 tires for Bobby Hall has fallen back to 9th spot, now has the 48 of Lucas Lyons battling for that 9th position. As they'll go into turn 1, looks like the 48 probably going to dive down to the inside. He will, and maybe going to fall out of the top 10. At this point here for the 2 tire stop, Yusuf, would you make the call of kind of short pit these guys, maybe come down?
I think if they stretch it out a little more, they can work the toe. 97's pitting this time. We might get everybody coming down here soon. We'll see how this works out, but I think maybe stretching out a little bit more just to give yourself more time on that last run to do what you need to with fresher tires might be the call, but at least the 97's decided he's coming in now, so we'll see how this works for him.
So John Kinder resumes the lead. Christopher McCullough starting to pull away from Adam Lancaster. He is very much faster than the 17 by about 1/10 of a second. The laps tick away, and we are approaching that halfway mark at lap 75. So far, no cautions. It's been, well, we had one. We had one caution, no big wrecks here tonight, but a caution there on about lap 27 that came out as a truck tried to hit pit road. That was the 22 machine of Adrian Loya, and Adrian Loya, he actually parks it for the day. He will be the only truck off the field here. Michael Cole, 3 laps down, the last truck on the racetrack, and the last car on the lead lap is Ronnie Shirk, but he came down to pit, so he'll lose a lap as well. Daniel Worthington also in his stall. So some of these guys starting to work the strategy on the shortcut, and I'm hearing some clutching out here. Is the 82 out of fuel? He just lost a ton of ground there out of turn 2.
I don't think he's out of fuel, but I think he might have burned that right front off there. The 04 has just been really good at hooking that bottom.
He has caught up to the lead. 04, Christopher McCullough going to try to take over the point. Lap 70 to the inside. He is running the bottom here. And I'm hearing clutching again from another truck. I'm not sure who that is that's doing it, but I do hear it out there on the racetrack. I think it's Joe Spinelli. Let's go on board with him. I think I'm hearing this somewhere on the racetrack, so let's see if it's Spinelli.
I think clutching is an interesting call here. I don't think they can make it on one stop with clutching, but we'll see how this works for these guys.
Oh! Big crash. That's a chase contender.
Peyton Hubbard involved, and the 03.
The 9 just missed it, and it looks like Kenneth McCullough's got some damage. Into turn 1 on lap 71. This changes everything.
That's big for the 04. He's going to get a reset. He'll be up at the front. And 2 of his contenders just got damaged. The 04 has to be happy about that.
Rewinding, this is back on the front in the Prado.
You know, I can't say we could put that on anyone. I mean, that just looks like an unfortunate racing deal entering the corner there between the 03 and the 25, and that 51 was just he was just a pure bystander. That's unfortunate.
It's going into turn 1 here, just a little bit of contact. It looked like the 24 didn't quite hook the bottom. Got to the throttle a little early. Back it up one more time here, right on board with Peyton Hubbard.
Yeah, I think the 03, he thought he was going to go to the bottom because that's the preferred line, and 25 to 24, sorry. He tried to run the middle, and they got together, and that's bad for that 20 or the 51. Sorry, that's all right front damage, and with a setup like this, I believe they've been driving it off the right front all night, so that might kill his night. It depends on if that's toe damage or not. If it's just aerodynamic damage, that's repairable, but if he's damaged the wheel or the suspension on that truck, his night's over.
Stops into the stall, has to back up a little bit here to get the service started, but it looks like heavy right front damage. We'll have to wait and see what this will entail pit stop wise, but the 04 of Christopher McCullough is going to lose a spot here, and now he's going to lose maybe another one. Peyton Hubbard's still on pit road, but there's the 9 of Morton on the outside. Doesn't look like he was able to get by, but that was a close battle, and now the 9, who's really the only factor left based off of the 2 trucks that just got damaged, he's turning up the heat on Chris McCullough.
I mean, the 9's been quiet all night. I think we've all been talking about the 03, the 04, and the 51, but that 9 car, he's proven he knows how to win. I think he's doing the right thing. He's keeping himself quiet here, and if he can get there at the end, I mean, that's all that matters. It just matters he crosses the line first, so we'll see how this goes.
Well, we still have a lot to sort out, but you're watching the Overtake iRacing League Truck Series live on V-Speed, live from Charlotte Motor Speedway. In the final race with the final 4, 2 of those drivers involved, and a caution on lap 70. We'll be back at the halfway point right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here live from Charlotte Motor Speedway. John Kender, Adam Lancaster, the front row. The 04 of Christopher McCullough has Barrett Morton beside him. So 2 out of the 4 chase contenders had problems here. The 03 of Kenneth McCullough got into Peyton Hubbard and Sean Kaser there on lap 73. We're back underway. We're at the halfway point, so this is a perfect opportunity. Find the volume knob on that TV or turn up that smart device. Let's get loud here on V-Speed for a couple laps at Charlotte. Oh, and a big wreck. The 51's involved in it again. That's probably gonna do it for Peyton Hubbard's championship hopes. Caution flag number 3 of the night. The 51 is heavily damaged.
That is not how you want to see the season end for someone that was as fast as him. I mean, that's the problem with these Final Four formats, you know? This guy, he's fast all season, and just things that got out of his control have taken him out of it. He's still...
Entire 21 race season comes down to the last 20 minutes here.
Nothing he could do about it.
We're back on the V-Speed instant replay. This happens in the quad oval here. This is the restart. Big checkup here. Looks like a misgear maybe by the 93 of Tom Hall. The 51 goes to the outside, but he's not able to clear. He has that right front damage, of course, you remember from the last incident. And so he has problems getting the speed up down the backstretch. I think maybe still a little bit of aerodynamic damage. He got a lot of it repaired there. But yeah, here we go out of turn 4. Looks like a looseness here for the 93. Snaps it back to the right, comes across the nose of Hubbard, and there it is. 4-car accident.
That's just really unfortunate placing for that 51. There is nothing he could do about that. That's not how you want to race or a season to end, because that kills his championship hopes right there, I believe. That truck looks done in.
So the damage was hindering the speed a little bit, you can tell down the backstretch, but Tom Hall gets loose here. Peyton Hubbard thought that he had it saved and he could go to the outside. Unfortunately, he comes up into him and rings out a yellow. I mean, that's heavy damage too. He's actually on pit road right now. He's been on there for about, I would say, the last minute now, and it's probably not going to be salvageable here today.
Man, we had a clean race going there too, and now 2 cautions in a row, a lap apart, and both of them involving a championship contender. 2 of them, actually. See how the rest of this race goes. They still have about 45 laps to go, so plenty of time for the other guys to get into trouble too.
And we were bringing you the sights and sounds from Charlotte Motor Speedway, that halfway mark, and we'd like to thank the Saturday Night Racing League sponsor, 29 Graphics. They will be on board with us here for a lot of these leagues across the board. We'll be sponsoring V-Speed exclusively, so we will have a Get Loud segment during every halfway mark, and I guess we'll go ahead and announce that as well, as Julio Villalobos is joining up with Jeff Wright and those guys over at SNR, and we have a lot of things to talk about with the next season of SNR as they have concluded their Saturday Night Racing League Season 2. We also have Overtake iRacing League starting back up. We're going to have a short little break here through June and July, so the tail end of June, and then we're going to fire back off in mid-August for a lot of these leagues. Yusuf, you've been a part of a lot of these guys and raced with a lot of these people out here, and I think V-Speed's kind of your go-to for finding leagues to race in. The networking with how small the world can be on iRacing, it's kind of surreal at times.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have been racing on V-Speed, or series of V-Speed broadcasts, since 2020. I think that was before you were even part of V-Speed.
Yeah.
Back with the Virtual Racing League guys. I don't race anymore, but Once that league shut down, we moved over to below the double yellow, and I think it was you that told me about Overtake, the Cup Series. And we moved over to this one, but that's 3 or 4 leagues now that I've raced under V Speed. So a lot of networking going on. It's always fun to meet new guys and all that.
Yeah, and it's always kind of cool to meet some new people, interesting folks out there. A lot of these guys are directly involved with the sport of NASCAR in some way, shape, or form, whether it's with endorsement or, directly on the team. A number of different people here, and, the names, the list of people it's massive. I probably couldn't name any offhand, but, we talk about Nick Gardner as one of those guys. He actually works for Hendricks, so that's the first one that comes to my mind. But then there's several others. I think that I don't want to misspeak, but there's some guys in here that are directly involved as well. And so when you have that factored in with the racing aspect, this is virtual racing, but it is as close, in my opinion, as I'll ever get to being in a real stock car. And so add that with the fact that these guys are directly in relation with some of the real life teams, kind of gives that more of a realistic aspect too.
I don't mean to change the topic here, but I think it's been interesting that the leader's taken the outside every restart since the green flag, where they don't have a choice. But every restart that the leaders had choice, they've chosen the outside every single time. And I don't know how it'll work out, because if that inside line, if they can time it perfectly and the guy in third can push the guy in second on the inside, that outside might be a sitting duck. So we'll see how this goes here. I think it's kind of risky, depending on who you have behind you, to take the outside or the inside. It's just I think it all depends on the help behind you.
Lucas Lyons will be that truck on the back end here. Starting from the 4th spot as John Kinder will take the outside for this restart. Adam Lancaster, the front row. Christopher McCullough and Barrett Morton 4th and 6th spots. So pay close attention to those red spoilers on the restart here. They'll both be on the inside line. Will they get it going? Will it be a pass for position? Again, top 4, 2 of these drivers still in it, but a few of them have gotten caught up during this race. The 03, the 51 probably done for the day. Kenneth McCullough back there in 18th. Green flag's out. We're back underway at Charlotte, and it looks like the outside did get going. And John Kinder's going to try to clear into turn 1. 48 all over that back bumper, though, not giving him an inch.
That is the best restart we've seen from a 4th place driver so far. That's all you could hope for as a leader there. I mean, the inside does have a couple guys hooked up there, but that 48 was just on it that whole time, and he's gonna clear, and he's going for the lead here.
On the outside,
let's see how he can do this.
Can he get to the outside and pass through the quad oval? Has the run on the high line. Pass for the 5th spot. 9 of Morton actually makes contact with the 04 of Christopher McCullough. Now to the outside of the 17. Barrett Morton, the championship venue here. It keeps changing hands. 04
that 48.
Chris McCullough loses the spot, and Lucas Lyons takes it over.
He led that lap by a nose, so he actually went from to first in less than a lap. I mean, that's an impressive restart right there. That's what you want to see. I mean, that could win someone a championship as well at the end of the race, just with how big the draft can be down the front and backstretch here. Restarting in the 2nd row is almost an advantage late in the race on fresh tires. And I think the 48 just proved that. As the 28's back up to him here. 82, sorry.
82 of John Kinder gets back up to the rear bumper of Lucas Lyons going into turns 3 and 4. And again, back to the championship. Barrett Morton is now your points leader as it sits at lap 85 as they cross the stripe at Charlotte. Final race. This is all or nothing. You have to be the furthest ahead of the field. 17 to the outside. He's going to try to level the playing field between these 2 red spoilers out of turn 2.
That 9 car, like I said earlier, I mean, he was just minding his business in the back the whole time, avoiding all the stuff, and now he's the championship leader. Less than 10 laps ago, he was nowhere near the front, and just kept his truck clean, kept his speed under wraps here, and here he is leading the championship.
This is kind of what we saw in the regular season with the 9 truck. He would wait until the later half of the race to really start running hard and put himself with a lot of victories that he would just, he wouldn't lead a lap. He'd lead the last one. He wouldn't be there until the last 10 laps and have a late caution. He put himself in a good spot there at the end. Now, here's another factor, though. We've got two non-playoff drivers up here racing very hard right in front of these two. And if something were to happen, you got Peyton Hubbard, you've got Kenneth McCullough. They're still out here on the racetrack. There's still a chance that these two could end up winning the championship anyway if these two get involved up here in 4th and 5th spot in an accident.
Yeah, I keep seeing that 48 make a couple little bobbles here and there, and that 82 keeps driving an entry really deep. As you see there, he almost got into the left rear. So these guys they're racing really hard here, and they're on the edge of it. None of them are really, they're going for it. So we'll see what happens here. I mean, with how close the 9 and the 04 are to them, if they get together, you might not be able to see them avoid it like we saw with the 51 and the 03 earlier. So we'll just see how this goes. But if I was the 9 and the 04, you can't really back off because you guys are right on top of each other. But at the same time, these guys are racing so hard that slowing the pace down a little bit and saving and giving them a gap and waiting to pass them once they're spread out might be the move. But a championship on the line, you might want to just try and pass the guy in front of you.
Being on board with Daniel Worthington, this battle for the 8th position. And Chad Ross on the inside is actually for 7th spot. High line entry here. We talked about Jeremiah Hobbs earlier in this race. He had worked his way from 22nd up to the 2nd position to end that stage number 1. He's now on the outside of Chad Ross. Pass in front of them. Wes Wiegand to the inside of Christopher McCullough. This is a playoff 4 driver.
The 04 made a mistake through 1 and 2. I think he got on the apron and slid up a bit, and that gave the 88 a big run there. He's not going to be able to do anything with it, but that cost the 04 a little bit of time to the guy in front of him and hurt his tires. So I'm liking this 9 car for a championship pick, honestly, but we'll just see. This 82 and the 48, they're fun to watch here, but see how they get around this lap traffic coming up here.
Battle for the lead, back side by side. John Kinder on the bottom of 3 and 4. 48 of Lucas Lyons going to pinch him down on the entry and probably hang on for another lap, but Kinder showing the speed later in this run. Lyons has been fast on the short run. He shows that he can pass trucks quickly, but after we get past that about 10 lap mark, he starts to fall off. And remember, in the first stage of this race, he had the lead briefly, fell back to about 8th after the fact.
Yeah, I can see the same thing happening here with him running the high line to get around this 82. I mean, it's just really tough on tires up there at a track like this, and you can see him there. He's just struggling to keep it on that guy's door, on the 82's door.
Wow.
And, there goes the 17. I mean, it's just so tight on the top here. There's not much you can do once you get pushed up the groove.
And so the 48's going to lose another spot as he tries to fight his way and keep into the top 3. The 9 of Barrett Morton, the 04 of Christopher McCullough starting to show the other half of this run. We've got about 30 plus laps to go. It's getting tight here, and we talked about the pit stops, the fuel. Can these guys make it to the end of this race now? 19 laps on this stint here. Yusuf, math-wise, it looks like they might be a little short.
Yeah, no, they're going to be about 10, 15 laps short, somewhere in that range, depending on where you're running. So they will have to make a stop. The question is, we saw earlier guys taking no tires. Was that because they thought it was faster? Because you do save time on pit road, or were they doing that to save tires? I think it might be to save tires, but maybe taking 2 here, saving 4 or 5 seconds on the stop. And that might make the difference. If you take 2 tires, 4 seconds ahead, if you have the speed and the clean air, you might be able to hold that lead, even though your truck might be a little bit slower on 2 tires.
So the top 5 start to accordion back together. The 82 of John Kinder in that clean air. The 9's into the wall.
Wow, that hands the championship to the 04.
Hearts all over the backstretch. Yellow flag is out on lap 94.
That was a violent wreck.
And he will elect to take it behind the wall.
And this is what I was saying earlier. I mean, I don't know. Wow.
Did the 04 get into him here? What happened?
Oh, maybe I think his wheel might have had a failure. It just shot to the left. That has to have been a wheel failure.
Yeah, there was no contact there. We're looking at the back. of the 9 machine of Morton. There was no contact here. We'll clarify just to make sure, but it looked like just a complete hardware malfunction for Barrett Morton that sent him to the inside wall.
I was seeing the 04 on this replay next to him, and I was sitting here sweating, thinking the 04 might have killed him, but no, the 04 did nothing wrong there. He was holding his line. He didn't make any contact, and the 9 just shot over to the left. I think that had to have been a force feedback, a wheel failure, something like that. Maybe bad net code, but I've never seen that as net code. That has to have been a wheel failure. Maybe go on board in his cockpit view and see what the driver saw here.
Yeah, let's go on board here with Barrett and Morton, and we're probably going to see the wheel turn left. Pay attention there on the left side of your screen. Yeah.
Yep. That's unfortunate. I mean, you don't have failures like that in real life, but you have other things that fail in your car, and
well, that's
you could say
similar
that,
to maybe Dale Jr. or Jimmy Johnson, where the wheel became disconnected during the race.
Oh yeah. Fortunately for them, it wasn't during a championship race under green, but that's not how you want to see that happen for someone. I mean, we thought the 51 was having a bad night, but that might topple it. That's an unfortunate way to lose a championship.
And so this puts Christopher McCullough, barring that nothing happens to him, and this is essentially, you know, he just has to finish this race.
And I mean, that might sound like an easy task, but you guys, I mean, you see the 9 car, there was no indicating that 9 car was not winning this championship. He was fast, he was smooth, and you just have a freak failure like that. That could happen to the 04. There's nothing saying. I mean, it's not over till it's over, you know?
Yeah, it's absolutely a lot of cars still out here on the racetrack as well. That could be a factor. You could have an incident in front of the 04. You might play it a little more conservatively now and end up deeper in this field. You know, it's kind of, do you keep pushing it? Do you want to get side by side with a guy for 2 or 3 laps and end up involved in something? You still have the 03 on the lead lap. Kenneth McCullough very much still alive. I know that you know, statistically, this is one of those, well, the chances just got down to 10%, but it is still very possible. And, you know, it's already happened to 3 out of the 4 drivers here tonight for the Final 4. Who's to say it couldn't happen to all of them?
Yeah, just to rub a little salt in the wound, they ended up giving that 9 car a penalty for causing that caution. So if the damage wasn't enough, that might end his night as well.
A hardware malfunction here for the 9 of... I mean, Barrett Morton, of course, 3 wins this season. We'll put the point graphic back up on your screen. This is coming into tonight, but 4 wins actually on the season here, and Peyton Hubbard also 3 wins. Kenneth McCullough had 3 wins, only 1 for Chris McCullough. So how about that? And I believe that was all the way back to Daytona, where he won the very first race of the season. And so he just kept his nose clean and kept finishing in the top 5, but he has no playoff wins. And so for the 04, this is one of those, you know, it only takes 1. Well, that's a perfect example right there.
Interesting. And again, the leader took the bottom here, which is interesting because the 48 is very good at restarting. And if he can get to that 82's right rear going into 1, I think he has him again. He's already proven he went from 4th to 1st in 1 lap. I think going from 2nd to 1st might be a little bit easier. So I can see that 48 taking the lead here, but let's see if he can hold on to it. Like, he is falling off a little bit these last couple times he's taking the lead. So see how it goes with about 25, 26 laps to go with this restart.
This restart, 26 laps will be left in this race. Stage number 1 winner. That goes to the number 94 of Bobby Hall after he took his 4 tires there during that caution. Raced from 15th all the way up to 1st in about 2.5 laps. He is now sitting back in the 6th spot. So there's still some factors. These guys that are fast, they've proven that they can get up front here. And the 04 of Christopher McCullough is not out of the woods yet. It's not over till it's over. We'll play till the whistle. Pace truck's going to pull out of the way 6 times today here. 5 cautions, 8 lead changes. 26 laps left from Charlotte. 82, 48. Green flag is back out, back underway. Great restart there for Kintner. I think he's going to clear him into one.
48's able to clear the inside, though. That's going to give him a good run down the backstretch here at the draft. Let's see what this 48 can do here.
Look at these trucks.
He's aggressive.
Full song. He's right on the back bumper. Dives to the inside down the backstretch. Side by side for the lead.
So far, he's just hanging back. I think he was giving the 17 the spot there. I don't think he wants to really race anybody too hard here because he's seeing what can happen. So, got on the 04, just sitting here and surviving. But 48, like I said, he's up to the lead here. It's not clear, but he led that lap again.
On the restarts, he does get a good run. It's when the truck has to lift and he pushes a little too hard. Little connection issue there with the 48. And the 82 of Kintner back to the outside. He has the nose over him going into 3. He's going to play defense and pinch down on the entry. Not as much as the 48 did earlier. Went off at turn 4. Another lap led now. Lucas Lyons through the quad oval. A little wiggly. But he'll hang on for one more lap.
These two, I think the 48 and the 82, they both know what they're doing. It's just 48's a little bit better short run. 82's a lot better long run. So depending on how this race goes, I can see either winning this. And then you have the 17. He's just sitting here behind them, running his line. He's not too wide like they are. He's a dark horse here. I think he can also pass both these guys. He's been quietly good all night.
Going back to that 4-tire pit stop and then the 2-tire stop as well. Bobby Hall is actually falling back to 9th. He took fuel only on his last stop. 7.4 seconds, and it looks like it's not paying off. He's falling through this field.
They're wrecking.
And
Leader's wrecking.
Wrecked. Lancaster's around. The 82 is around on the inside wall. And that gives the lead over to the 48. Wes Wingen up to 2nd now. Another caution on lap 102. Heavy left front damage. That looks like the toe is broke on the 17 of Adam Lancaster. Robinson lost control coming out of turn 4. Oh, there's contact with the 48 there. They're probably going to have to penalize the 48. We'll go back and watch this one more time, but it looked like contact going into the entry of turn 2. The 48 gets to the outside. Does the 82 come up in front of him here?
That's just an unfortunate racing deal. I think the 48 didn't lift, but the 82, he closed the gap. He was clear, but I mean, 20 to go, you can't always expect to get a lift there. It's just, I wouldn't put that on anyone. It's just, again, another unfortunate racing deal like it was with the 24 and the, that 17 is just an unfortunate bystander too. A lot of wrecks like that. A lot of wrecks like that tonight. I believe the 04 is going to be the leader here, correct? If they penalize the 48 for that?
If they penalize the 48, but I don't know if they will or not. This, again, this is tough to tell. I'll go back one more time just to see from a blimp angle. But yeah, the 17 gets to the back of the 48, gives him a good shove into turn 1. He is technically there, but it's just a matter of, did the 48 come down? He does pinch. The 82 came up. This is kind of those guys meeting at the same piece of real estate at the same time. So that's a tough call there, and I think you're going to have to go, when it's that tough to decipher who made the first move, who made the wrong move, you have to, it's just a racing deal, yeah.
Yep. I think racing deal would be the right call by the admins there. 48's aggressive. I think he's proven that all season, but I don't see anybody else making any other decision there. I think anybody else would have stuck their nose there.
I know you would. If it was a matter of that's the guy you have to beat for the championship, yeah, you absolutely would, Yusuf. I know you.
Ask Connor Horn.
All right. Lap 105 about to be underway here, and so again, this is just it doesn't change anything for the playoffs. It doesn't change anything championship-wise, but it does give an opportunity here that if the 03 of Kenneth McCullough had any damage, he can come down and get some more repaired. but it's looking like he's pretty committed here to staying out on the racetrack. He comes back out after pit lane. He comes back in. 50 seconds of that truck should be pretty close to back to normal, and he might be able to get up here and compete in the top 10. I'll have to wait and see, but we're gonna have a short little 20-lap stint here, and if anybody had an extra set of tires left,
48's been penalized, so the 04 is now the leader.
well, there you go. So
Got
this
the
gives it
04,
over.
the 10, and the 67, I believe. Is that in third?
Yes.
So that completely changes it, because I don't think the 10, Alex Healy up in third. None of these guys were up front until very recently. The 38, the top 5 is completely different. Other than the 04, none of these guys have really spent that much time up in the top 5. So this completely flips the race all over. And with a championship contender up in the front, if he can't pull away, does he just pull over and let these guys race it out? Because is it worth keeping the lead when you have this big a gap over everybody else racing you? Because as of right now, the only person really contending with the 04 is the 03, and he's still damaged. So winning this race really isn't that big a deal for him.
Yeah, it's not a necessity to win this race. So if you get yourself in a situation, these guys have been aggressive. Yeah, I don't think I would push the issue, but lights are going to go out on the pace truck. The 04 going to elect to start on the outside. It goes back to what you said earlier, though. Clean air is key, and so Christopher might not want to give that up. We'll have to wait and see.
I think the 04 has been fast enough tonight, and restarting as a leader, he should be able to clear end of 1 here. But again, if these guys get the draft, if they push each other, if they get up to him, what does he do? Because I know these guys are going to be hungry for a win. Everybody in the top 5, every single one of these guys wants to win this race. It's running a razor thin margin here for this 04. He just has to keep it clean, basically.
So a little caution plagued here. One of the longer races of the season. You know, we were typically running about 110 laps at these mile-and-a-half racetracks, but we tack on a little extra and one extra set of tires. But that also added on a little bit more excitement and action in this final 4 playoff race. The 04 of Christopher McCullough really just needs to bring it home shiny side up. He has one contender still out on the racetrack. His uncle in the 03 back in 14th position for this restart. Lap 107. Green flag is out. We're back underway from Charlotte.
10 got a good start. The 10 has a really good start there. What does the 04 do here? He could side draft, but that's going to get that 10 loose into the corner. And I mean, he could overcorrect into him, but this 04, if I were him, I just let this 10 go because he has the big picture in sight here, and he does. I believe he lifted through 1 and 2 there to give the 10 the lead.
So looking back from the 04, he's being very conservative. Alex Healy is going to peek to the outside. No move here. Big wreck in the
and
back.
they're wrecking the back. Is that the 51 in that? And again. Oh, that won't be a yellow.
Dustin Ryan-Siddle slides down into the quad oval
Advent's
grass.
throwing a yellow.
There's the yellow. And Kenneth McAuliffe made it through that.
This 03 can get the rest of his damage fixed. I mean, you take tires here, you fix all your damage, you have about 10, 15 laps fresher than everybody else at the front. This 03's not out of it. If he plays this right, and the 04 stays out, I think he can contend at the end. Fresh tires and a fixed car, this 03 has a chance.
They were wrecking everywhere around him. And he somehow snuck through it.
I'm going to look back at this, and that might be a championship-winning move there. That was incredible avoidance.
One more time for the blimp camera. 07 gets loose. The 126 with contact in the 113. The wrecking even further up ahead with Bobby Hall. Looks like a truck of Michael Robinson. The 11 barely misses here.
Wow.
That is close.
They're wrecking left and right, and he avoids every single one of them.
Stayed on the throttle and snuck on through. Sometimes you get lucky like that.
He
Right
needs
there
it.
is where
A
it
lot of these
initially
guys have been
started.
needing that luck.
I think it was Wes Wiegand in the 94 Bobby Hall is where it initially starts here. Wiegand gets loose, starts sliding up the racetrack, has to lift out of the throttle, then snaps it back free into the four of Michael Robinson, and then it just sees parting. Everyone's trying to check up, but cold tires setting them off. But it just got even more interesting. Now we only have 5 positions separating, so, you know, for Chris McCullough, he just wants this thing to be over with. He wanted it to end 15 laps ago, and so he still has to compete. It's not over yet, and we talked about that. For those of you that maybe went out and said, well, I've had enough watching this here tonight, we've decided our champion. No, it's not over. We still have the 03 of Kenneth McCullough, who could go up here and steal this thing away after getting damage on, I believe it was lap, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was lap 68 that he got involved in a caution there, and that took Peyton Hubbard into a bad spot. Of course, Hubbard, he's still out here. He's still trying to get these laps back. He's 6 down, but he's got that machine pretty repaired here, and if something happened to the 04, not that we're wishing it on him, but it could level the playing field right back. We still have laps to do that.
51 does need a lot of help to win this, but like you said, with how this night's been going for a lot of these guys, he still has a chance. 6 down, and he still has a chance. He's also not going to be finishing last in the standings. That's unfortunately going to be going to the 9, who is currently 14 laps down.
Yeah, Barrett Morton electing to take it behind the wall after an equipment malfunction on the backstretch. And if you missed that there, it was about lap 90 or so, where actually it was back-to-back cautions, so it's about like lap 78 or so. We had a quick succession of yellows, and ever since this second stage has began, we had a couple stints where we actually started green flag pit stops during the first stage. We haven't seen that since.
Yeah, this there's been a lot of cautions this last little bit. I think taking tires here is something I would have done if I had a set, but it looks like pretty much everybody stayed out. So everybody's going to be on even tires here. You're not going to have some guy come through the field, 10 seconds faster than everybody like we saw in that first stage. So theoretically, it should be a lot easier to keep it green here for these last 10-ish laps. This is about when we should be going green. But see how it goes. I think this 04, if he just keeps it clean, that 03 might not have anything for him. He's in 7th, though, so maybe if the 04, he gets a little greedy here, he tries to race the 10 for the lead. Maybe he has a little bobble out of a corner, gets a little loose, gets a little tight, has to lift. That 03, he could get a run, and he could take it from him, so it's going to be an interesting race here.
I've shied away from pulling drivers up into the broadcast booth. I don't think they need any of my help or our help to, get the nerves going. Let's just keep them focused, keep them locked in. I'm sure they're communicating and working on strategies, letting each other know what they need to do, what the points look like, what the positions are. So we're going to try to let these guys duel it out as naturally as we can here for this final 15 laps or so. It's going to be tight, but the 10 taking over the point. Jeremiah Hobbs, again, impressive, starting back at 24th position to begin the day with a little bit of an internet issue to get to the grid. Didn't get qualified, but was able to make the field with the extension of that caution back at 24th. He raced his way up to finish 2nd in the stage. Now, with about 13 to go, finds himself in the lead in the closing laps here in the final race. He could get this victory. Jeremiah Hobbs in the 10, impressive for the WD-40 Toyota. The outside, points leader, currently going to be your champion if he can hold on. Christopher McCullough. He has to finish. That's all he has to do, barring that nothing bad happens to him. I think it's going to be tough for the 03. However, Kenneth McCullough Jr. has repaired 90% of his damage for the things that he can fix on this truck. And so the 03 is still very much alive. With a little scrape there on that 03, he can go up here and snag this one away. The 51 of Hubbard, the last car in this playoff 4 that's still out on the racetrack, 6 laps down at 18th. Green flag about to come back out. We have a lot of hungry trucks that want to just prove they can win. But here we go. For 13 laps, 3 green-white checkers, a possibility. Green flag is out. We're back underway at Charlotte.
Amazing restart for that 10 truck. He's got about a 3-car length lead already. The P2 side by side with the 04. Again, I don't think the 04 is going to be fighting this all that hard.
Well, he better get with it because he has another truck back there that's pushing. That is James Kaufman in front of the 03. Somebody told Kenneth McCauley, you still got a chance. He picked up a spot right off the gate on this restart, and he is all over the back bumper for the top 5.
The 04's back up to the lead here. I don't think he'll fight it, but he's getting there. He is on the bumper of that 10 truck. The 03 is not making all that much ground up, but
trying to find his way around this traffic as we'll approach 10 to go. It's 11 to go with across the stripe. The 10 of Jeremiah Hobbs holding on to the lead. Nothing racing as of yet. Alex Healy back in 3rd. Chad Ross up to 4th position, but Daniel Cunningham on the outside as someone bobbled the wall there out of turn 4. I believe that was Kaufman.
The 03's looking for a way around this 25 truck, but he just can't get around him. He's tried to go up to the top, he's tried to go down to the bottom, and he just can't get around this 25. I think his truck's still a little hurt on the straightaways, but
back there, 113 into the 11. We have another wreck into turn 3.
Big wreck.
Michael Cole's involved. The 113 loses the suspension. And now, if you have an extra set of tires,
this is the point. If you take your set now, I think you win the race. There's still just about enough time. And there's been just about enough wear on these guys' tires that taking a fresh set here, that can make a pretty good race. If I was the 04, I don't know if I would, just because, I mean, it puts you in the back, and I think it's been pretty obvious that it's pretty dangerous back here tonight. But if you're the 03, I don't see him winning it with his damaged truck just by staying out. So if he's got an extra set, I think if he pits here and the 04 doesn't, I think the 03 has a massive shot at winning this. But 04 stays out, 03 pits, 03's pitting. We have a race on our hands here. 03 is the only truck to pit. The 03 is the only truck to pit there.
I just want to shout out that unfortunately for Peyton Hubbard, he was involved in that incident, so he will not have an opportunity to get any of those laps back. He will have that X here on the iRacing server that will prevent him from any waiver rounds if it was possible. But with the 03 being the only truck down pit road, I don't think it was going to happen anyway. But you do see the right sides go up on that 03. The left sides go up on the 03. He will have 4 tires here for this final restart and quite a few others. The 17, there's, over half the field was involved in something here at this point. And so he'll only be in about 11th position. The 94 proved that you could come from 15th in 2 laps.
This is a nail biter right here.
Yes, it is.
If the 10,
that's what you got to do right now.
If the 04 was the leader, I'd like his chances a lot more because he could get that big jump and he'd have a lead. But he's P2 here, and we've seen that P2, other than that one time the 10 car was able to get a really good restart, P2 has not been able to even hold that front row. They've always had challenges for P2 going into 1. So if this 04 doesn't get a jump and stays side by side at that 10 truck, he's going to have someone fighting him for second, just going to slow him down a ton. And he can't push the issue, because if he pushes that issue and he gets wrecked, then it doesn't matter what the 03 does. But right now, he just has to try and get the best restart he can and hope that there's enough trucks between him and the 03. But as the 03 crosses the line, it looks like he will be in the 11th position. We've seen people come from further back with more on their tires. I'm seeing this 03 as a favorite right now.
He's got to get there, though. He can't afford to have any mistakes. He can't bobble or get into the door of anyone if anyone plays defense on him. So he's going to have to be really meticulous and careful with who he passes where. Some of these guys on older tires, of course, 22 laps for James Kaufman and Chad Ross. You saw Alex Healy there holding on to third spot. He'll have Daniel Cunningham with a little bit fresher tires. The 08 has fresher tires in the top three. The freshest tires on the racetrack, though, that goes to Kenneth McCullough. I know looks like Lucas Lyons is also on a fresh set. He had 14.3 in the box there. So he might have a chance to go up here and mix it up with these guys. Peyton Hubbard, of course, 6 laps down, just involved in that last caution. The 113, the 11, quite a few guys here with some damage in front of the 03. He's going to have to navigate around. But right now, as it sits, Jeremiah Hobbs, your leader, Christopher McCullough, the points leader. We're approaching green-white checkered territory. If anything were to happen back here, we're going to go into overtime.
This 04 is hoping for a wreck. If we get a wreck here going into 1 or maybe into 3, and we cut these laps down to a green-white checker, that hurts the 03's chances a lot. He needs these laps.
Yeah, he needs it to stay green here all the way to the end. Now, he could get up there with 2 to go and be in the 3rd or 4th spot and then have a caution, and that really sets him up, I think, in a perfect position because he can get the jump on the restart and probably make quick work at the top 2.
The other factor here, like you said, is the 48. I mean, he's been very good short run. So, does he give the 03 a push here, maybe? They're not teammates or anything, but does he try and help the championship fight here for the 03? Or does he race that 03 through the field and maybe, who knows, make contact? You never know what could happen here, but it's going to be between the 03, the 48, and the 04 to try and get this done here and see how it goes.
It all comes down to 5 laps, 6 laps actually, when we take the stripe. The pace truck is going to get out of the way. Do we have enough laps? I'm trying to do my best camera work of the season here and bring you all this action for the final race. 2 drivers still in contention for the championship. The uncle, the nephew. The 04, Christopher McCullough, has been up front all day. A recovery for the 03 of Kenneth McCullough. Can he come back from 10th position on this restart? Green flag about to be out, and the 10 of Hobbs gonna lead him into turn 1. Charlotte Motor Speedway, back live. The 04 doesn't push the issue here. Christopher McCullough falls back to 2nd.
The 03 doesn't seem to be making any ground up. He hasn't gained anything since the restart. He's just sitting here in line. I'm not sure if maybe that damage on the truck's making it so he can't, but he's kind of just holding his line here and staying in about 10th place. The 48's making up some ground here, though.
Would be wise probably for Kenneth to get behind that 48 and follow him up through there. He'll cut right through this field if he can find a hole. He dives it down to the inside. The 07 almost makes a mistake there and touches the apron. Now the 03 is going to get the surge to the outside. 5 laps to go. Nowhere to go right now for the 03. The 07 sliding up the racetrack, almost 3 wide out of 4. 4 laps now.
These guys with fresh tires struggling trying to get around this 07 truck. I'm surprised that they're not able to just rocket to the front here. We saw earlier, I mean, about the same tire difference before. There was no contention, but these guys on these older tires, they're a lot faster than guys on old tires were earlier.
Gonna cross the stripe with 3 laps left. We had a little challenge for the lead there. Christopher McCullough on Jeremiah Hobbs. He's gonna try to win this race and the championship.
I think he's realizing that the fresh tires aren't really gonna be a factor here, so while he doesn't want to probably push the issue too hard, because you don't want to wreck, I think he realizes he has the opportunity to win the race and the championship here.
Perfect opportunity. We'll take 2 to go. No caution as of yet. He peeks to the inside through 3 and 4. Hobbs holds on for another lap all over the back bumper of this Toyota.
Ooh. 07 spun to the infield. That will not be a yellow.
Gonna stay green with 2 laps left. Change for the lead now. Chris McCullough takes it over. Just by a nose, door to door down the backstretch.
Oh man. You also have the 08. He wants to win too. This is going to be an interesting finish here. Not only for the championship, but for the race. What's going to go happen here? He clears.
That was close, but the white flag is out. It's going to be official here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. The 04 of Christopher McCullough will not get a bailout from a caution if there's any problems. He holds on to the bottom of 1 and 2. Daniel Cunningham to the outside for second position. He has a good run down the backstretch. McCullough goes up to cut it off into 3 and 4 for the final time here from Charlotte in the final race of the season. Mistake from Hobbs, the 08. Contact went off of turn 4. Your winner and your champion of the season. Truck Series. Christopher McCullough in the 04 gets it done at Charlotte.
Amazing job. He kept it way cleaner than everybody else all night. And he took the chance to win the race too there. He was fast all night, kept it clean. He wins the race and the championship. Amazing job.
He led 16 laps and started on the pole here today. And coming out of turn 4 on the white flag, takes over the lead, is able to clear the 10 of Hobbs. Daniel Cunningham fights hard. Hobbs makes a huge mistake, and Alex Healy ends up in the top 3. But there it is.
Looks like someone's mad at the 03. He just got spun out under caution. The 07 just came up and just cleaned him out.
Tempers maybe flaring up a little bit here for the final race of the season, but these drivers knew what was at stake, and for these final 4, they started falling like flies after that first stage. Technical difficulties, mechanical malfunctions with hardware, and the 04 maintained all race long that he wanted to be the champion, stayed in the top 5 when others were falling apart.
These are the best burnouts you can do as a driver. Just finally getting a championship is always the best feeling.
Post-race interviews with your top 3. We're going to bring in your championship and winner, Christopher McCullough. You're watching the Overtake iRacing League Truck Series live from Charlotte. More coverage is going to continue right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
back live from Charlotte Motor Speedway under the lights for 125 laps here today in the final race of the season. Race number 22 has concluded for the Overtake iRacing League Truck Series, and Christopher McCullough is officially your champion. On top of all of that, he comes out of here tonight with a little bit more in the pocket as he gets the win over Daniel Cunningham. Alex Healy is going to bring it home in third. Jeremiah Hobbs, who was leading on that final restart, falls back to fourth, but still a stellar day, gained 20 positions. Top 5 for him. Bobby Hall is going to get fifth, and he had a stellar day as well. He had several instances of going from the back to the front of the field. Chad Ross is going to bring it home in sixth. Quiet day for the 38, but he kept it together. Dustin Reinstedt will finish in seventh. He had a few moments of off track there with getting caught up, and we had several cautions here today. 8 cautions and 14 lead changes. I want to throw that out there as well. Lucas Lyons is going to finish in 8th with James Kaufman in 9th. Another great day for the 25 after Iowa. He's putting a string of top 10s together. And Kenneth McCullough Jr., he'll officially be second in the points here after tonight. But a tough day for him, getting caught up on a lap 60 incident. The 03 is going to be second in the points.
And coming home 11th is the 07. I believe he had a little bit of beef with the 03 there. He couldn't clean him out under yellow there. After that, we have the 17, who was caught up in a wreck battling for the lead. That's unfortunate for him. He was fast all night. Next up, we have Peyton Hubbard in the 51, finishing 13th. The championship contender who's going to come from third in the points after getting caught up in, I think, 3 or 4 wrecks tonight. He's had a rough go at it. The 113 coming home in 14th. That's Daniel Worthington, also caught up in a couple wrecks. 15th was Spinelli in the 126th. I think he was caught up in a wreck with the 113 as well, in the 126, sorry. Michael Cole in 16th in the 67, also caught up in a couple wrecks. There's a rough go at it for a lot of these guys in the back here. We have Wes Wygand in the 88 and 17th. Next up, we have Robinson in the 4 car in 18th. And then after that, we have John Kinder in the 82, who was caught up with the 17, battling for the lead with the 48. After that, we have Hall in the 93, coming up 20th. And that rounds out your top 20.
Barry Morton, another championship contender, had a wheel malfunction, hit the inside wall down the backstretch. He'll come home in 21st, so he'll be the last truck of this final 4. He will get 4th in points, but not the day that he wanted here in championship night. Ronnie Shirk Jr. is going to finish in 22nd, Sean Kaser in 23rd, and Adrian Loya with an early exit, 89 laps down to complete the day. Well, that brings us to our final top 3 here, and it's going to be Alex Healy, and I'm always excited to have the 97 up here in the booth. He always says something that's memorable. So, Alex, of all the events here, this in itself was a memorable day, the first season of the Truck Series, and it still was never decided all the way down to the last lap.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll have anything super funny or memorable to say unless it comes out in the process. I was happy for me personally, before I get to the bigger picture, to finally have a race that I finished. I've gotten wrecked like the past 3, maybe 4 weeks, which put me on the outside looking in. But that's a part of racing. It happens in real life. It happens here. I'm not going to waste my time getting mad about it. But past that, I'm just, which I talked to the guys in the drivers meeting. I'm so thankful for everybody for joining up with us in the first season and sticking it out through the highs and lows and our growing pains and figuring all this stuff out. I could go on about this for 15 or 20 minutes, but I'm not going to run your broadcast like that. But for everybody to have the faith in us to put this league on and handle your money and do things as fairly as possible, it's a really good feeling to make it through the first season. When we started this, I was told that I didn't have the temperament for it. We'd be done by week 4, and now we're here to crown a champion, and I'm pretty happy about that. Wish it was me, but I'm glad Christopher stuck with it, clutched it in there last round, and it paid off.
Well, we can go back and talk about, you guys were already decided on the playoff format, and what does that do? I mean, you keep your car count on top of that. What does that say, and what does that do about your league and moving forward? Because you guys maintained all the way through with at least 20 trucks here out on the field.
Yeah, the part of it, we had some incentives for the non-playoff guys to stick around, and I think our car counts in all three series, even trucks, definitely the other two, we made a mistake at the beginning of the season and had the charters for $1, and what that allowed to happen is everybody just bought three chargers, and it gave us an inflated sense of how many people were going to run each series. But that notwithstanding, to make it through the season in trucks, I think we had 23 tonight. Could have had a couple more that were paid that had to miss for whatever reason. No big deal, but I don't claim to be an expert on this. I've never run a league before, but for us to make it this far with this group of guys, it's a pretty awesome feeling, man.
22 weeks on the season. Alex Healy, who had a win at Pocono, finds his way into the top 3 here in the closing laps at Charlotte. Alex, anybody that you want to shout out for an amazing season? And we still have 2 more races, Tuesday and Wednesday. Go ahead.
Yeah, tons and tons of people to shout out. Start with my Flex Motorsports teammates, Dan Worthington, Wes Wiggin, Bobby Hall, Thomas Hall, Dakota Shepard when he was able to make it. Those guys have been awesome all season. We didn't have the level of success that we wanted, but we still had a good time racing together, chomping at the bit to get back at it. After those guys, all the admins, David Farmer, Cody Anderson, Dustin Reinstedel, Alex Penn. I know I'm missing people. I'm doing my best here off the top of my head. Joseph Penn for doing race control. You guys for doing an awesome broadcast throughout the season. And everybody that in the league, just any driver, whether they ran one race or 22 races, one series or all three, whatever it is, what have you. Every little bit, it just means a ton to me. Yeah, I think that covers everybody. If I forgot somebody, I'm sorry. Actually, you know what? I did forget people. The people that watch me, my family, my wife, who is sitting right here behind me. Some of my friends watch from time to time. My brother-in-law, Josh. My uncle-in-law, CW. Some of my guys at work, Keith and Colin, and which I say Dave, but he's an admin, so he doesn't get 2 thank yous. But everybody, and if I missed you, I'm sorry, but I appreciate it all the time. I think we'll just get bigger and better from here. But no matter what happens, we made it through a season. We crowned a damn champion, and I think it's been a success.
Well, and I'll say this. I think I heard her out there in the background. You should have started with the wife first.
Yeah, I
I've
know.
told you this a million times.
Yeah, she just gave me the finger. I was trying to remember all the people that would be easier to forget than my wife, and then I almost forgot her. So we got there though. We got through it together as a team.
There we go. And another memorable moment here with Alex Healy. Congrats on the top 3 and a successful Truck Series season. We still have the Xfinity and the Cup Series to wrap up here Tuesday and Wednesday, but we thank you for your time, Alex, and we look forward to another great season in August.
Of course. And again, congratulations to Christopher McCullough.
Well, there you have it. 97 Alex Healy, 3rd place here tonight at Charlotte in the final race of the trucks. We're going to move on to our 2nd place finisher. A little sneak up here, but Yusuf Ghali is going to join the 08 of Daniel Cunningham on pit road.
All right. Daniel, P2 finish here today. This is Yusuf Ghali up in the V-Speed booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Alrighty. P2, you kept it clean all day. Come home P7 in the standings. Walk us through the last half of that race, especially with a lot of wrecks around you, and you get through all of them cleanly. How'd that go?
A little bit of luck, I guess, on that one. I know there was a couple of them that kind of happened right in front of me. The stack up we had on the restart after the stage, I got some front end and rear end damage on that. So lost a lot of track position getting that fixed. But yeah, I mean, overall, not a bad race. I never really seemed to have the pace that I needed to keep up with the top guys. Just kind of once I got behind on strategy, I just decided to play some different stuff and see what worked, and kind of got lucky with the way the cautions and stuff fell there at the end.
Yeah, there were a lot of cautions there, and you just quietly made your way back up there. Do you have a specific point in the race where you felt like you were able to catch this P2 and come home with a top 3 like this?
Once we had the caution with about 20 to go, it was like 20 couple, whatever it was. I came in and put tires on, and I got up to P6 before we had that quick caution right after that. So I thought to myself, if this goes green the rest of the way, or we have some decent runs, I think I got a shot at the podium, if not the win. Just never really got as long of a run as I needed, and still fighting a little bit of that damage that I had earlier. It said that it couldn't fix all of it, so uh, yeah. At that point, I was kind of like, maybe I got a shot at something, but either way, it was a better result than where I ran for most of the night, so can't complain.
I think keeping it clean is a key. Sorry. But before we get to the championship here, you have anybody you want to thank for this amazing run tonight and an overall great season coming on P7?
Yeah, appreciate y'all at V-Speed doing the broadcast as always. All of my Bandit C2 Motorsports teammates, SM Race Products. If you're looking for button boxes or anything for your sim rig, check them out. Use code Bandits1 at checkout. Then all of my personal sponsors: Ghost Energy, Banfield Pet Hospital, and 3Chi.
All right, that's Daniel Cunningham, who comes home P2 tonight after a race of attrition. Moving on to the championship winner, the 04 of Christopher McCullough.
Yeah, I'm down here in victory lane with your champion, your winner, your trifecta. I mean, this race was never handed to you, even though it looked like at certain points that there was no contenders. We had those cautions that kept resetting things, putting things back in the hands of people that maybe had hard luck at the start. You had Kenneth back there, and I know you were paying attention to that. You guys definitely communicating directly in Discord. But Christopher, this thing was never decided until the very last lap, and you made a pass out of turn 4. We questioned what you might do because you had the championship in your grasp, but you still, for whatever reason, couldn't shut it off. You had to go up there and win this thing.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of second places this year, and I just didn't want another one. Jeremiah raced me hard, and I knew that the lowest I could finish was second, and I had a feeling I would be good there. I mean, I wasn't going to overdrive it and wreck myself, but I definitely was going to try to win it. I was about tired of second place.
Well, and you come in here too tonight, you start on the pole, the confidence of clean air and being up in the front in the first stage. You never really left the top 5, even when you lost the lead. But, you start getting back there in that hornet's nest. Was that the main goal, was just to avoid falling out of the top 3?
Main goal was I wanted to start up front, and I was really good on the long run. Every time we got 15, 20 laps on the tires, I was way better than a lot of people. My whole goal was just to kind of ride the bottom, preserve my tires, and have a chance at the end. Because usually these races go green towards the end. So, I mean, I figured if I could start up front, I could maybe fall back to top 3 and ride, and then be able to make a run towards the end of the run before pitting. It kind of worked out. I did get a little hairy, but I let people go. I just didn't put my truck in any danger. If somebody had a good run, I wasn't going to fight them on entry. I let them go and then try to get back under them on exit. If not, then I just rode behind them. They always came back to me, though.
And we noticed that all the way through the race, that you were constantly kind of having that battle with yourself. When do I push? When do I go here? That's how you got to race, especially when you're in the Final Four. So great job on that. Chris, I got to ask, though, you had several different instances with Peyton Hubbard, the 9 of Barrett Morton. At different times during the race, you had people that were ahead of you, and this race came down to finishing orders. So what did that do in your mentality of, do I need to go now? Or did that change your mindset overall?
Yeah, to be honest with you, in that very first run, Peyton got by me. And, at the very end of the run, I was doing everything I could to not get into him. I felt like I did a way better job of saving my tires. and I felt that gave me confidence. I put a lot of practice into not burning my tires up because I noticed early on in practice that it's real easy to do so. So I felt like I was good on the long run. I felt like I was better than Peyton on the long run. I wasn't sure about Barrett, but Barrett's raced me good all season, and we're usually right there at each other, so I figured it'd been a good race either way. I do got to say, I feel really bad for Barrett. He had an issue with his wheel, and I hate that. I'd rather have raced for it, and he deserved it. He's run good all season, and he deserved to have a shot at it there, and it's just very unfortunate.
Yeah, and we saw that it hooked to the left. It looked like it almost completely disconnected, but not to take anything away from what you did here today. You never had this thing handed to you. There was a four tire pit stop there with the 03 and a last ditch effort to try to get up here. Fortunately, the traffic kept that car at bay, and you were able to keep your momentum up, get the pass. Finally, Christopher, you're a champion here in the inaugural season of the Truck Series. You battled through a lot of different adversity through the season. You had a great start with the win at Daytona, but then a big drought, and you just kept clawing away, keeping your truck clean. How do you do it, man? What's the secret sauce to getting this championship?
Just minimizing mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes early on in the season, and I did a good job of just controlling what I could do and understanding who on the track I can race hard with, who I need to give a little extra room with, who don't like me very much. I found that out pretty early. So I just tried to, keep my truck clean and not make no enemies, and I just got more consistent as the season went on.
Christopher, congratulations on getting the win and getting the championship, locking yourself into the history books here in the Overtake iRacing League. Is there anybody that comes to mind that you could think, well, I got to thank those people for supporting me?
Yeah, I got to thank my teammate, McCullough Motorsports. I couldn't have done it without them. They kept my head on straight. They kept me honest. Didn't let me use no excuses on why when I made mistakes. And that really helped me grow as a driver. But I also got to thank my friends and family that always watch these races and support me. I've got a couple texts already congratulating me, and it really makes me put in that extra effort to get out there and get it done. But I got to thank you guys for broadcasting. I really enjoy rewatching these broadcasts. Y'all do a great job, and it's gotten better and better as the season got on. And all these drivers, it's been a hard racing in this league. Everybody races hard, and they want every position they can get, and it makes it to be fun, challenging but fun.
And to overcome all of that and say you were the best in season number 1, Christopher McCullough, again, congratulations, and we will see you in August. I'm sure you'll be back here to defend your championship title when we go back racing for season number 2. Take care, man, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great night.
And so there it is. Tonight, we have crowned a champion, the first champion of the Overtake iRacing League. And I think we're going to crown another one tomorrow. Yusuf Ghali, we got Wednesday for you as well into that Final Four. It was fun here tonight from Charlotte Motor Speedway, but you'll have to tune in tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time if you want to see that Xfinity race, and there's still a lot of racing left to be done as we're going to go all the way out. Well, I just clicked the wrong thing. Here we go. We're going to go all the way out to Phoenix in the desert for 150 laps at the Phoenix Raceway, and that configuration has changed several times. Drivers cutting that dog leg. The pit road has been extended. Hey, even the finish line has changed locations in the last 5 years. So hope you guys can join us for that as well, as we'll take the Xfinity Series to championship mode. But for everybody here at the Overtake iRacing League, would like to thank them for letting us be a part and covering their races all season long. Yusuf Ghali up here in the booth with me. I'd like to thank you for being up here and taking your time out of the day to give us some great commentary. And I know your first time up here in the V-Speed booth, but I'm sure you enjoyed it. Any final thoughts here before we let him go?
It was an amazing race. I mean, I enjoyed broadcasting, the first time ever doing it, and I really enjoyed it. I'd love to do it again sometime. Won't be doing it tomorrow because we're just going to be watching, but can't do it on Wednesday either because we're going to be racing. But maybe next season we'll come back for some truck and Xfinity races if you guys will have me.
Well, you did a fine job, and I would love to have that, so appreciate you. And For everybody at V-Speed, Adam Baker in the background that does a lot of the stuff behind the scenes. A little under the weather here. I hope he's getting better. But our other producers, Eddie Smith, Morgan Cook, Logan Throkeld, Christian Hill. This is Bradley Cooper telling you to have a great rest of your week. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9 p.m. And maybe you'll catch me on the track at 8 p.m. in the QSR Xfinity Series. Until then, everybody, take care. We'll see you next time.